All right. Should be up and running here on both platforms now. We just closed here about a couple of minutes ago. So we'll take a look at what the closing price is here for the Q SPY and IWM. Let's go ahead and get started. Good afternoon. This is Ifan from the Strategic Day Trader, and this is your market wrap for February 23rd, 2022. Q's down 2.56%. SPY down 1.75, IWM down 1.9. We came into today bearish on the Qs and SPY. We talked about how we've been getting these rallies, and they seem to kind of come up in a hurry and then spend the rest of the day losing that move up. And so what we actually got today was a little bit of a gap up, and the gap up got sold. And we're still in this hourly downtrend. Okay, so there isn't too much to add here. I would say the only thing different now that we've gotten this decent sized red bar here on the Q SPY and IWM. If we gap down tomorrow, I would expect a bounce at the open. The extent of the bounce and how well that holds into the end of the day, we'll have to wait and see. If we gap up tomorrow, I expect that we will get sold. Okay, because the hourly is still in a downtrend. That's what we're gonna watch to see if we get any change in the market. All right. Okay, so we're just going to remain bearish going into tomorrow. If we get a decent sized gap down, say over 1%, then probably bounce first at the open, and we'll see what that looks like. Okay, that's what my plan is for tomorrow. If we gap up, then just stay in bearish for the rest of the day. All right. We have gotten some decent selling here in the market. I thought it was surprising this morning. Had a couple of gap downs I really liked. PRG and TJX I liked quite a bit, and they didn't really go. PRG based at the bottom and then got bought. TJX was showing weakness, but then after the earnings call they got bought. Ignore that dotted line. Then it was just nothing, not meant to be there. As much as I would have liked to kind of played more in line with the market, I thought the longs kind of were more interesting this morning. So I start off with the STRN. STRN was a breakout right at the open. Mentioned it. That was just a breakout off the opening range. Gap up. You can see this has been selling off. Maybe just a temporary bottom. It is right into that 20 EMA. So just over high of the day here. Just this opening range right here. So just a kind of a tight stop there. Nice gap, and see how much follow through we get. Didn't really give that much, a little more than 2 Rs, and then came in and trailed. So wasn't a big play on the STRN, but was okay. At least the initial run wasn't too bad. And then also played this. You can see very similar here. They're just looking for the reward to risk potential on things like these. Big void to left. Not the type of daily chart I especially like to play, but these were kind of the unique things. Now, there were a lot of things that were in decent downtrends today. HFC was good. Love that gap. Love the breakdown on the daily. CWH breaking down on the daily, even nicer. But, a lot of these just kind of felt like they were gone. And then when the market started to go, gave them just a little bit more. And so was a little bit harder, I thought, to catch some of the bearish items, and they just didn't set up that well at the open, I thought. So that's why I ended up playing these long ideas. Okay. I think I mentioned yesterday, either in the wrap or at the end of the room, end of the day in the room, that the earnings list seems to be getting bigger, and we are reaching into the peak now. A lot of these names too are not like the really mega cap names. And so a lot of these often will give us more movement and better gaps. So it feels really late to be getting to the earnings season peak, but that's, I think, what we're doing right now. How long it'll kind of last, maybe not that long, because it's kind of been a slow burn, gradual build up into the earnings list that we have now. But the earnings list that we have for today after the close and tomorrow morning is the biggest I've seen so far for this earnings season. So hopefully it's finally time to say, let's pick up the aggressiveness. I know we've been waiting for quite a while to say, okay, this feels like earnings season, but might be finally time. I think the reason is because a lot of companies, this is their year end, so it takes a little bit longer. This earnings season, I think in general, is just a little bit more drawn out. So I think that's okay, because sometimes also in like the end of the year or like last November, October, that earnings season can seem a little bit too hectic and condensed because the lists are really, really big. A lot of companies reporting in the span of just 3 weeks. And then they kind of, there's a lot to do within that 3 weeks. So this one so far seems a little bit more drawn out. But we're finally getting into the peak of things, into the midst of just a lot more earnings, a lot more gaps. So, finally time, I hope. But if not, the market's been coming in. If you're in the room, we've also had some more scalps lately, so that's been good too. So yeah, a lot to look forward to this week, I think. So hopefully you're excited. And then, yeah, bearish times in the market still. Okay. All right, guys. We'll be back at it tomorrow, and I'll talk to you then. Have a good evening.